Incubos, what's up? Final here today, Final Fantasy Talk, and today we're going to talk about some more Final Fantasy community. Now, what we're going to talk about is the Final Fantasy community, what's been going on, and how we can improve this community, because a lot of people don't give this community a lot of credit, and they just look at us as a fighting, opinion, everything community. And you know, that is partially our fault and everything. A lot of people do fight on their own opinions and everything, but that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people do that is because there's so many different types of Final Fantasy games. There's a lot, and you know, it's not just 1 through 15. There's so many different other Final Fantasy games than not just 15. So that's why a lot of people just, you know, don't agree. And there are people who do agree and don't agree, or just don't care and go on with their own opinion, and that's fine as well. But really, what does this community need? What does this community need to actually grow up? Now, there's this website being built up, in which I am partially with as well. It's called FinalFantasyCommunity.com. Now, it's in private beta right now, but I'm going around it. I actually went around it a little bit today, and it just looks so beautiful and everything, and how this website is working as a whole. Basically, you know, you see other Final Fantasy websites, and no hate on the other Final Fantasy websites or whatever, but you see other Final Fantasy websites and they're just like forms, you know, they're just like forms, text, emoticon things or whatever, just, you know, not much design at all or anything. And you know, that's fine, you know, that's cool and stuff, but FinalFantasyCommunity.com is a whole on step of the whole Final Fantasy, all of the Final Fantasy websites I've ever seen. And basically, with Final Fantasy Community website, I want to compete against all the other Final Fantasy websites, because, you know, I see all these other Final Fantasy websites, and they put out a lot of fake stuff. Now, not fakes. By fake stuff, I just mean news. You know, everything else they do, entertainment based and everything, they do great. But with the news and everything, and I've been a Final Fantasy news reporter for almost 2 years now, but with all the news that they've been giving out and everything, it's rubbish. It's all fake and everything, and they just do it for views and everything, and I just don't like it. And I want Final Fantasy community to be full on legit, full on everything. And that's one of the problems with Final Fantasy community, is that people lie a lot. They lie a lot and get away with the lies. They really do. And you know, I see other websites like, you know, Square Portal. Square Portal is it's a pretty good website. It's a very good website. But I'm gonna just say right now, because honestly, this community, you gotta say what you gotta say to get into the community. If you're joining the Final Fantasy community, you can't just, you know, if you want to get out there in the Final Fantasy community and get known for what you do and everything, you know, if you're a YouTuber, if you're a Final Fantasy YouTuber, or you want to get into Final Fantasy YouTuber, or you know, gaming pros or whatever, get your name out in the Final Fantasy community, you need to speak your mind. That's one of the other things as well. You need to speak your mind. So one of the things, I'm just going to say this, Final Fantasy community, a lot of people join Square Portal, and that's cool and everything. Nothing against Square Portal. I checked out their website or whatever. But honestly, Final Fantasy community is 10 times better than what Square Portal has right now. Honestly, and it's just in private beta. We have so many different stuff, so much stuff that we're going to do. So many events, live streaming, polls, even, you know, forms, but forms that look beautiful and everything. Everything that we do on this website, when we will do it anyway, you know, when we get more people and everything, you know, we have an add-on, we have a chat system, we have a friend system, we got all this stuff that will absolutely overwrite any Final Fantasy website, and that's what we need to do. You know, that's the thing in Final Fantasy community, is that a lot of people fight. a lot of people fight and give people crap. You know, honestly, they just do that. They do it because they think they're right and they want to be the tough guy. You know, that's what they want to do. But you can't just, you know, step down and be like, oh yeah, you know, you're right. You should be like, alright, this is my opinion. You don't like my opinion? Go away. F off. You know, that's what you gotta be like. And if you got something on your mind in the Final Fantasy community and you want to say it and you're too afraid to say it, just say it, because that is the thing. Because the whole Final Fantasy community is so overright of opinions. Everybody should just stay entitled to their one opinion and not get any hate for it. You know, a lot of people are scared to share their opinion in the Final Fantasy community because people are just gonna, you know, not everybody. Of course, there's really respectable people in the Final Fantasy community as well. But there's also a lot of other people that just, you know, oh, that's your, oh, you don't like Final Fantasy 7. Oh, you're not a Final Fantasy gamer at all, or you know. Just, it's not just Final Fantasy 7 as well. A lot of people just blame everything about Final Fantasy 7. It's not just Final Fantasy 7. You know, I think a lot of people are jealous because, you know, their own Final Fantasy favorite game and their own opinion. You know, they're just jealous because they don't have the rep that Final Fantasy 7 has. And Final Fantasy 7 isn't my favorite Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy 10 is my favorite game, Final Fantasy game. And all-time game as well. But anyway, you know, I don't go around and doing that, you know, and I don't, you know, sure, yeah, Final Fantasy 7, biggest Final Fantasy game out there, great, that's awesome, that's good, it well deserves it, and it's good that it has that reputation, because if we want to grow the Final Fantasy community, how we're going to grow it if we don't have a huge Final Fantasy game that everybody does not know, or that everybody does know about, even if they're not in the Final Fantasy community? And that's what we need. But some people get so mad because they don't have their one Final Fantasy game, like Final Fantasy 6, 7, or 8, or 9, or 10, or 13, all those Final Fantasy games. You know, if you're going to be a Final Fantasy YouTuber like I am, I have almost 650 pure Final Fantasy videos on my channel. I know I'm not that big in YouTube. That's because the Final Fantasy community, sadly, is not big at all, really. But, you know, I get a lot of hate as well. I get a lot of hate from people as well, and I just speak my mind. You know, honestly, I got some friends from the Final Fantasy community. I lost some friends for the Final Fantasy community. You know, you say one thing about Final Fantasy, and everybody just turns against you. It's stupid. It's stupid. But you can't just let that get to you. You gotta keep going out there. You gotta keep moving back out there and just stating your opinion, and that's it. You know, for example, I'm going to tell the story over and over again, and to the person who stalks me, and you know who you are, and yes, I'm going to talk about you again, and the other guy, and the other guy, and the other guy, and the other guy, all those guys. Yeah, I'm going to keep talking to you, because you know why? Because you are an example of all these people that I'm talking about right now. And I'm not going to say their names because, you know, that's what they want. They want attention. But anyway, those guys, you know, I say one thing. I say one piece of news about Final Fantasy 13. I say that Final Fantasy 13 Light Returns got the lowest sold Final Fantasy sales ever in history in the first week, which is true, because it was. You want to search it up and everything. It's all over the Final Fantasy forums and everything. You can even check it out yourself. I don't even need to provide a link at all, because it's all over everywhere if you just search it up. I say that one piece of news, saying that I'm not saying this out of my own opinion. This is the truth news. And these guys, who I thought were my friends, took it so serious, they just turned their backs on me. And they're just like, oh, okay, you're hating on Final Fantasy 13, blah, 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 you're a Final Fantasy 10 fanboy and everything. I'm just like, dude, please grow up, you're pathetic and everything. But that's the thing. You can't get these guys in your mind, because they're just gonna push you back and everything. And I don't think a lot of people, when people say fanboys, they think of Final Fantasy 7. immediately. That's what they think of, and the only reason why they think that is because Final Fantasy VII is the most sold popular Final Fantasy game ever made, and that's it. And that's I think it's just pure out of jealousy, and that's it, because their favorite Final Fantasy game is not #1. And you know, my favorite Final Fantasy game is 10, but you don't see me going hating on and blaming everything on Final Fantasy VII fanboys, because it's a good game and it well deserves for what it is. So, getting back to the point, what does this Final Fantasy community need? I think everybody that is watching this right now, and even the haters, even the people who don't like me for who I am and whatever opinion or whatever, you know, reason why they don't like me, to everybody that's listening to me right now, what we all need to do, every single person needs to grab onto their freaking mind and just stay with their own opinion. If somebody else has another opinion and doesn't match yours, then you shouldn't call them a fanboy, a sellout, everything, a hater, or whatever, a pathetic, a hypocrite, whatever you want to call them. Just be like, okay, that's your opinion, and then move on. That's it. That's honestly it. And I know that happens in every Final Fantasy community. I know a lot of, you know, Final Fantasy, or I know a lot of other gaming communities like Call of Duty and everything, you know, they have this opinion hate as well. But for the Final Fantasy community, we have too much of it. And if we can just get it down a little bit, I think this community will go well, a lot better as well. And if everybody can do that, or not even everybody, but at least, you know, a quarter, you know, at least a quarter or a third of the people in the Final Fantasy community can just be like, okay, this is my opinion, it doesn't match yours, but that's fine, and move on. That's it. That's all we need to do. Honestly, it's that simple. But, you know, a lot of people want to get attention, and they'll even go to hating to doing that. So, what are you going to do? How are we going to do this? I think Final Fantasy community website is going to be able to do it, and I think Final Fantasy 15, when that comes out, I think that will bring even a lot more people into the Final Fantasy community and just build it up really, really good. So, anyway, Goobos, I've been talking for like almost 13 minutes now, or pretty much 13 minutes now. Now it's your turn. What do you think? What do you think that we can do to just, you know, slow it down? You know, you can't stop it. You can't stop it. You can't stop it fully. That's probably literally impossible to do. But what can we do to slow it down? What else could we do? Do you think the website's a good idea? If you haven't checked out FinalFantasyCommunity.com, it is in private beta right now, but you can look at it and stuff. And I'm telling you, this website is honestly just going to blow up. It's going to go well. I think it's going to go well. So go check out the website if you don't know what I'm talking about there. And do you think Final Fantasy 15 is going to do well, or do you think we just need more Final Fantasy YouTubers, or what do we need to grow this community, or what do we need to get this community back in mind and everything? You let me know in the comments below, Kubos. And yeah, this is I know I just wanted to rant a little bit and state some points out there. And I'm still gonna do my Final Fantasy thing. I'm still gonna do my Final Fantasy YouTubing and everything, and I'm still gonna state my opinion on things, because it, you know, that's how you get through it. And if people don't like it, well, if you keep hating on me, you're gonna get a block. You're gonna get a little cursing out from me, and then that's it. But anyway, Kubos, you let me know in the comments below what you think about this. And yeah, so this is a pretty long talk. And yeah, so anyway, Kubos, hope you enjoyed. I'm Final, and I'm out. Kubo, see ya! Inside out, inside out, inside out, now.